Hey, how's it going, everybody? Comic book artist writer Will Robson here. I'm just here today to do a quick portfolio review over somebody that just put their portfolio into the Discord server. If you don't know anything about my Discord server, what I'm doing basically is if you sign up for my Discord, I like to do drawings of people's portfolios and I like to help them out when it comes to making their art better and potentially trying to break in and all that fun stuff. So this is from a guy, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. It's Hassiel Martinez, I believe it is, who just joined. If you hear snorting in the background, that's my French bulldog that's in my lap. But we're going to take a look at Hassiel's portfolio. So let's have a look here. So the first thing I would do if you're handing in a portfolio is I would not include... hang on, let me get my pen here. I would not include... Oh, geez, sorry, I just got a new iPad, so I'm not used to where all my new pens are. Robson brushes, where's my pen? There it is, okay. I would not include lettering in your portfolio because the editor is not going to be reading this book. They just want to be able to see, can you tell a story? Is the eye flow moving properly? See, this is flowing properly because it has the Z or the reverse S, they call it. So my eye is going like this to here to here. That's all that's needed in a portfolio. Honestly, letters will just be a distraction. And, you know, if somebody is not a very good letterer, it might make your art appear worse because people really underestimate the importance of lettering. Lettering really, really is super important. So let's have a look at these shots here. Now, I'm going to just quickly do some rule of thirds over this. This is just a cinematography technique where you break every panel down into 9 individual squares that are even. So you want to evenly break these down. And basically what you want to do is you want to have some sort of important information going on either in the main square or where each one of these dots intersects. So let's just put these down first because I just think it's a good visual. This is something that you don't have to do. This is not a requirement in comics or anything like that. I just think it's a really great technique to make your work look, one, more cinematic, and two, just train your eye to how most people, you know, it's not just cinematography, it's also photography. This is just not a trick, but just a technique that people have used for many years to make stuff look good. So now that we have these in, you can see where you could just do little like adjustments. So I'm also a big fan of using middle ground, foreground, and background to its most extreme because this is comics. If you look at the panel here in the middle, this one here, I do like that this guy's in the foreground, but I would push it even further. So what I would do is, let me just copy this guy. Copy, paste. I would have him much bigger on this panel. Maybe tilted a bit so you could see the car. Maybe even bigger. It's up to you. I mean, there's not many lettering on this page, so you don't really need that much. So I'm trying to put his face where that line intersects. You can see them. I think what I would do actually is... that arm is in a weird position. Oh, there we go. So I think I would do it something like... he's running away like this. Again, apologies for my slowness. I got a brand new iPad. I've been using the same iPads for 8 years, and so everything is very new to me. So I'd have him running away, not specifically in this pose, but I'd have... you know what? I don't like that. Let me change. Let me change that up. He should be... you should still be able to see him running. But I would just have his face more focused, still a bit bigger. Running away from the car. And then maybe to speed this up, I'll just draw instead of copying and pasting. So I'd have him running. something like that. That's his hand there. That's his head there. That's his other hand in the background. He's scared. Oh my god. And then, really you should have the car in the other intersection. Because it's just a way for your eye to see it. So it would be here, the car, and I'd probably do like a Dutch tilt to the shot, which just means that the ground is tilted. It's not flat. Let's get another layer going behind there so we can see what we're doing. Let me clean this up a bit. So yeah, you got a guy like here. He's running. Hand in the extreme foreground. Look, you got to push in comics. You got to have stuff in the extreme foreground. You got to do what's it called? Why can't my brain work right now? Forced perspective. That's it. Which basically just means, if there's a guy standing with his hand out like this, you want to do the shot where his hand is coming right at the viewer like this. That really adds depth and just looks cool, But the depth is important. It really, so that, you're selling that these are 3D objects on a 2D plane. So anyway, so I'd have the car like here, and I'd do like a Dutch tilt like that. Let's put white across this whole page so we can see what we're doing here. Okay. So car like here, probably some zoom lines, and I'd probably actually make him bigger just to push him into that extreme foreground. There we go. That's what I like, baby. So we will do that. So now it's like a real extreme picture. I might even also, instead of him looking forward, I'd probably have him looking over his shoulder. And then that way his face is facing down into the next panel, just so it helps that your eye flows. So I do that. This top panel's okay. I mean, I can obviously tell you've used just a 3D model here. Again, you have your guy here. I would probably have him where the rule of thirds is, running through the street, like so. And then, you've got so much empty space like here. Again, I don't know who lettered this, but you would never put a letter here. The letters would always start up here. So he'd be saying help, and then there would be a caption up here. There is no reason why it would ever be down here. But now you've got all this empty space, again, using the middle ground, foreground, background. If you want people to look at him, definitely keep the street white and then keep him black, maybe with a big shadow coming across him or something. So we look right at him. And then you've got the street here. And then what I would do is just in the extreme foreground, I would put like a water tower or something like that. Just some more organic object that's not in the same just classic perspective as all this other background to break it up. And you could even go further where you could have, pigeons flying out the way because, someone's running. Just create more of an atmosphere. Moving into the next panel, this perspective is a bit strange here. It's like you're trying to do the forced perspective, but if you were going to continue this shape of this foot, then the body would really be here, because that's the crazy perspective. But you have it going where the hips are up here, which just gives it a bit of a strange look. So just be careful of stuff like that. This panel's fine. I'm a big fan of profiles. This is a very Frank Miller thing. But I love a good profile of like a foot moving. So I would probably do a profile or something like that. But it's not super important. What you have there is fine. And then we want to see the car that's chasing them. I don't think it should be a wide shot here. I think we should go into what the car is, because we want to see these guys chasing him, right? So I think I'd probably have them either like this, it's like a straight on. That's pretty boring though. Or maybe you could go hang on, I'm English, so what size is this steering wheel on? That's on the wrong side. So I would maybe, you could go really extreme here where you have a worm's eye view, which means it's just the view from a worm. And you've got the guy driving here, and he's holding onto the steering wheel. He's smiling. So it's almost like we're down in the footwell of the car. And then you could have the other guy, that's his chin, pointing and talking like you had. It's just a bit more of an extreme angle, and it's a good juxtaposition to that. But if you had to really show the car, like if that was super necessary, even though we've established there's a car in the other panel, then let's see, I might turn the Dutch tilt the other way. And then this is also another Frank Miller thing. Just have that car looking like it's driving over a hill. You see the underneath of the car a little bit. Actually, that's a bit too much. I would maybe point it down a little bit. Just have it so it's really coming over that hill. If you look at Frank Miller in Sin City, he always has his cars like half in the air. And it's such a cool look because it looks like they're really going fast to track him down. But I think I would just stick to this shot. Let me try and add a bit of shading just so you can see what I'm trying to do, because this is the next big thing to draw your eye. I know I've created just a big mess here. There's my dog snoring. Okay, so shadow here. This is mostly going to be black. I would say this is the water tower, and then I'd make this probably black as well, and then I'd have like a street lamp here. This is what's creating the light, maybe even round it out so you're focused. No, that's too much. So then I would just have the light reflecting off of it. Something like that. Maybe not that extreme. Just so we can, we're really focused on what's going on here. I would clean up the street a little bit so we can focus on him more. Something like that, using light to draw your eye to focus. If you want to make a quick and easy panel, you can do a silhouette like that, or you can have it mostly in shadow, just so it sticks out a bit more. The guy is, the headlights are clearly coming off of this car, so this guy is mostly going to be in black, except for what's coming over him. We obviously want to see his face because we're introducing the character. So we'd see his face a little bit. These headlights would be glaring, and then the lights would be showing across the road. But I wouldn't do a black sky though. Leave that to the colorist, because the colorist can add value as well. And by value, I don't mean like their worth. I mean value as in lighting. So again, maybe there's a corner cut here down an alleyway so you can break it up so there's even more focus. And then in the car, I mean, it's going to be mostly black on this inside of this roof here. So I'd focus on the car being mostly black, which is an easy way to break it up. This is the window here when I'm circling. This is the steering wheel, so that would be, oh no, that would be lit up because of the light coming from it. And then I would do minimal lighting on them, just a bit under like their chins and stuff like that. And then something like that, just so we can really focus on them. Yeah, so that's what I would do your first page. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, again, this is the last time I'll repeat it, but no letters. We don't need to know. And again, I don't like the placement of the letters either. It doesn't flow properly. If you want to learn lettering, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that teach lettering. It's a major skill in itself. Don't underestimate it. I would say that, like, for instance, these balloons here, what you want to try and do is create a diamond shape with your lettering. So this is more of a square, the way this is laid out. And there's too much space in between the words and also the lines, so it's just unnecessary space. Use some good font. There's great comic book fonts out there. I can't remember the name of the website, but Comic-Con or something like that. I think that they're the ones that do the best comic fonts. Just use that, or you can reverse image search your favorite comic books on the stands today in Google and do find my text, find my font, and it will tell you pretty much roughly what font is being used. That's how I found a lot of the fonts that I use in Outbreaks. I think it's Comic-Con for the fonts. Again, sorry for my dog snoring. She's a French bulldog and she's old, so she's sleeping. Okay, let's get to this. Now, this is fine. This is cool. She's drawn well. She's in a good perspective. I think you draw women better than men. And I like the flow of a cape. I mean, I grew up a McFarlane kid, so I'd probably go even further with the cape. But that's on you. It's totally fine. And I don't really like a black sky because a colorist, they should have more to work with than that. But I like that the text is here for the intro of the book. And I like that she's mostly white with a black background. That makes her the pop. So this is totally fine. I think it's a fine shot. Yeah, maybe I would add a bit more character to the smoke. I love the way people like J. Scott Campbell draw smoke, or Greg Capullo back when he did Spawn. There's just so much character to the smoke, and smoke can really, add to it. So yeah, I think that she works absolutely fine. I assume that she's supposed to be a light character. That's why her clothes are super light. That's what I'm guessing. Let's see here. I can see that this is a 3D model of a car, which is totally fine, but I would suggest, instead of just plopping in the 3D model as it is and then inking it over the 3D model, I would suggest plopping it in and just re-penciling it so that it just becomes across a bit more organic. It depends on what you're going for, because this could be style at the end of the day. I know plenty of people nowadays that just plop in 3D models. And look, I did it too. Go look at my Great Lakes Avengers work. I was frightened to draw even a lamp or a lampshade because I'd just broken in the mold and I didn't want to draw anything poorly. So I completely made 3D models my crux, which was such a mistake. And now I don't. So I'm not too bothered about the 3D models. It's sort of like a rite of passage. In this modern world, I can see obviously that this is a 3D model as well. That's totally fine. Just it's not my thing, but I know it comes down to style. Now, I'd say that with your guys here, I like the sharpness of this anatomy here. It's very Jim Lee / Dan Mora. I'd lean into more of that. I love the balance of curvy lines and sharp lines. I think that's what creates really interesting art. I mean, I could show you a preview here of the cover I'm doing for Outbreaks issue 4. You can see that I'm doing sharp stuff for the film, and then I have much smoother lines for his hair. And then this is something that Ryan Stegman taught me, was you do really jagged lines for your spot blacks over your organic smooth lines, and it creates a really interesting balance and dynamic. So if that's something you want to do, that's for you. That's me testing out my Comic-Con what I'm going to do, because I'm going to Thought Bubble. Never mind that. Didn't mean to show that. Doesn't matter. This guy I would bring forward more, because he's actually sitting like here, and you could really have him more in the foreground, pointing this camera and leaning in over the dashboard, and then you can just barely see this guy in the background. I'd watch out for this perspective. I think it's off a little bit. Like his arm here would be much bigger than the back arm because it's more forward. I don't mind this shot. I just think yeah, and also these render lines are clearly just like the built-in manga thing. I personally don't like that. Again, it's a style thing, but this to me just says laziness. This says I can't be bothered to draw speed lines, so I'm just going to use pre-built speed lines. But again, I'm guilty of doing the same thing myself when I broke in. This shot's great. I love the black here. I love the white of the light, and then using gray. This is all very focused. The only thing I would do is probably make the sky white, because then the colorist can lower it down, and then I would probably have her more silhouetted. Or I don't know if you even need to show her in that panel, to be honest. Yeah, you're very good at drawing female faces, and the body of the females work. Looks like you really need to work on your men. Again, don't like black sky, and I just see that you're not thinking about your light source here. Which is, again, I went through all of this myself, because like why is these black here? Are they just aligning on the building? They wouldn't be pure black. Pure black is for something. Save pure black things for things that are not getting any direct sunlight, moonlight, reflective light on them at all. I just find that when you use black like that, it's like when you use it here on the windshield and stuff, and these windows, it's not great. You're making, it's such a strong thing, the dark black. It's such a strong value that this confuses my eye. I would keep most of this white, and then the background I'd have white. But you can also do like there's I just saw Declan Shalvey do this. He does like this thing with the clouds where he'll have like a stroke of black in the clouds just to break it up a bit, and that looks good. So just try and go look at Declan Shalvey. He just drew a Spider-Man commission, and he did that really well. I guess she goes invisible, which is showing off a very digital way of doing invisibility, which is fine. But again, I don't like the 3D model background or the black sky. Just something to avoid. I can tell an editor wouldn't like that either. All right, moving on. Let's see. Now, this is a very busy top panel. Let's have a proper look. I like what you're doing here. I think you could push it even more. This skull here. Again, you got to start using this extreme foreground and forced perspective. This is comics, It's I wish I had my images up. If you look at movies like Citizen Kane, if you just type in middle ground, foreground, background in film, you'll find so much amazing reference for how to use it. Just start pushing it. This is comics, Comics are supposed to be cranked up to 11. So, yeah, I'd push these in the foreground more. I think it's fine where she is. Again, if I was going to do the rule of thirds over this, then her I would put right here. And then the skull I would put more here. It's just a cinematic way of laying out a panel. Really look into the rule of thirds. I highly recommend it. It's just such the amount of people that I've showed it to, and this is something I learned actually from David Finch watching his videos. He said he applies it to all his work, and I went to film school. I never even thought about applying it to my work, but yeah, it is good. See, again, I would just move her down a little bit, and it will end up being more cinematic. Again, this water being black takes completely away from this cool dude that you spent all this time rendering here. So this is, I like this. I like the storytelling. Again, you definitely draw girls better than men. That's for sure. So work on your men. I like the cape is great. But yeah, I like the silhouettes of the inside of the cave back here. I might have a bit more darkness here. No dark on the water. And again, as cool as this guy is, let's see. He would look so much cooler. And I know you want to spend all that time drawing the whole body. He would look a lot cooler using the rule of thirds and probably being a lot bigger on the panel. Something like that. So that she would, and I would move her over a little bit so that if we're doing the rule of thirds, he's here, she would be either here or down here. But that's not that big of a deal. In fact, the way I lay it out means that he would be more over here. Yeah. And let's check out the rule of thirds. Again, I should really call them the guideline of thirds. You could move all of this information to here. But I like this. I like the panel you've drawn. It's fine. Again, you don't need to completely follow the rule of thirds. I'd say that was the best page you've done so far. Because there's more organic stuff going on. Again, she's just... The problem is that this is middle ground, and then you've got background. She really should be in the foreground here. Much, much bigger of a figure. Taking up so much more space on this panel. And I like all the work you put into his body. I think the rendering is a bit too nice. But this background is taken away from lovely work. Now, a good colorist, what they would do is they would probably color hold all of this and lower the value of it so you could see this guy here. But you've got so much gray and black going on this guy that for him to stand out, you want to tone it down a bit in the background. So I would make her a lot bigger there. I see it's like a flip panel. Again, you could still do the same. He's mostly black. I don't know. I'd bring some, get some lighting in here so that we know where the light source is. I know it's very scary. I mean, I didn't start doing proper lighting on ink figures for a long time. I kind of like that his face is white and then there's black behind him. That's fun. But there is just too much darkness going on up here. And here as well. But I would make her obviously a lot bigger, so she'd be taking up most of this panel as too. This panel's great. This middle one here. Approved. Though you're doing this classic thing that we all did when we started out. You don't need to have a little white line over everything there, because that you're telling me that every single side of her lips are reflective. So it's okay that you have it along the top that it's white because it's catching light, but it wouldn't be catching so much light here. So you can just get rid of that reflective bit there. I think I noticed you doing that somewhere else as well. See, this is much better. She's much bigger on this panel here. I would honestly make the blam in the background just pure white. It would make it stand out so much more. Especially if you're doing this gray background thing. Yeah. And what I would do is, since she's firing a gun and it's shooting off a light, I would probably, and I don't know if this character can even have light darkness on them, but I would put her a lot in shadow here because the gun's hitting like onto her. So by that I mean the light is hitting her. Yeah, this is a great face. I'm not sure about these rendering lines you have going on here. I don't know how much sense they make. But, yeah. The pages are improving as they go on, that's for sure. Okay, and then we're back to this. This is just, again, you're leaving so much space. Like, what is all this space? Do we need all this space? I can see the letters. I can see that it's not like someone's writing a novel over it. So, again, have this guy much closer to the camera. And by the camera, I just mean the reader, towards us. And if it's rule of thirds, then I'd have the car coming here instead. And then obviously you would repeat that for that. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm doing chicken scratch here. Yeah, he's like this. And the car is over here. And this is a very flat drawing down here. Again, there's something going on. My dog just farted. I don't know if you picked that up. There's something going on with the way you draw guys that just isn't... I like the guy in the background. That's a great drawing. But I think you need to work on your profiles a bit. They seem very flat. I'm trying to see where you're going wrong here. I think the mouth needs to be over a bit more. And your eyes probably need to sink back a little bit. It's all about style, though. I also think, if you're drawing his face flat here, that kind of means that he's looking right past them, when actually they're here. So what I would do is have him, more looking this way. His hand is too big compared to his arm. And also, his arm is not telling me that he's, scared that he's about to crash. I would hunch his shoulders up, really, to make it look like he's bracing for impact. I also think that, again, you can make this a much bigger shot here. Maybe a view from inside the car as well. Let me just redo it quick. You could have the guy here with the camera and the seats and this, and they're holding on. And then in the middle here, you can have her with her hand on top of him. And then for lighting, you can have this mostly darkness as the light hits everybody else. There's many options. I just think that what we have going on here is maybe not the best one. So I would just think about more varying your shot choices. Oh, we have one more page. Okay. Let's see here. So again, for me personally, this now being permanently black on this, and all these windows on, why are they now black? It's really distracting. And this, I don't know what this is, a sewer grate or something. And all of this black in the background, it's just too much. My brain has no idea where to look anymore because of all this black. I think what's going on here is what she's touching him, and it makes him see through so that he doesn't get hit by the car. I'm not sure if the angle you've chosen is the best to represent that. Especially the buildings. The buildings really take it all away. Now, you don't need all of this information. You could just take it all out. You could just not have a background here. Because what we're really focusing on is... Well, actually, no, you'd have it sort of towards the end. I don't know. I would just choose a different angle for this. You could do a straight-on profile. Hang on, let me just try that out. Just put a quick rule of thirds. Doop, 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 doop. Or, you could do it from above as well. There's so many options. But you've also chosen to just have the panels going like this, which is also a choice. If it was straight profile, I have them here. And they'd be going silhouette. No, that's boring. It might be fun directly on. If she's standing with him directly on, and the car's coming towards us, and then suddenly the car's closer, and you could see that they're sort of in the car bonnet now. And then... I guess if somehow you can make it so you're underneath the car there, and you could see that they haven't been hit, like this is the wheels, and then they're okay. I think I'd do something like that. But if it was me with the rider and stuff, I'd talk to them, because you can get this whole segment done with just like a big splash page of the car going through the people, and them being like, "Whoa, it's going through me." So that would need to work. Okay, I hope that helped. Let's just quickly go back through. Yeah, I completely reworked this one. Again, your female drawings are good. Your male drawings need a lot of work. They just seem a bit janky in comparison. Definitely work on your values. To stop using solid blacks for things like this water here. Really think about why you're choosing to put something down solid black. Just look at your favorite comic book artists and search their inks. There's great books like the Batman, what's it called? Unwrapped or something like that. Or no, Batman Noir. And you can take a look at Greg Capullo's inks on his Batman run, Frank Miller's inks on Dark Knight Returns, and especially Brian Boland's inks on The Killing Joke. He is an absolute master of values, and he kind of really opened my eyes to how to actually shade comic books to begin with. So I recommend doing that. See, because this is like, I love this middle. This is the best panel that you've done, this middle panel, because you got the solid black for her hair. So my eye is immediately looking at this face. And then you've got a couple of little renders here, which is gray. And then her face is pretty much pure white here. So I'm looking right at it. So just pay attention to that stuff. I know it's advice I give to everybody, but it's true. The main things are, hang on here. Rule of thirds, which is when you take your comic book panels and you break it into 9 individually squares, and you make sure some sort of action you want focus to happen on where these lines intersect. And next is middle ground, foreground, ignore my writing there, background, which is if we have a shot here, and we'd use the rule of thirds, somebody's in the foreground, and usually stuff more in the foreground is usually more silhouetted, so the value is darker. So there's someone in the extreme foreground, maybe they've got a gun or something like that. Let's make him a cowboy. There's another cowboy here who also has a gun. And in the background, we got like a cactus and the sun and some hills and stuff like that. So that way, we're really focusing on the panel. So lots of black for the character in the foreground. Middle ground, not as much. And remember, as things go more into the distance, the less value they have. So when you look at a mountain from far away, it's not a solid black mountain. The mountains get lighter and lighter. So you'd have one mountain like this, one mountain like this, and one mountain like this. So those are my 2 really big ones, and then the last one I would say is force perspective. Where you have, instead of just drawing a panel where someone has their arm out like this, let's say it's Iron Man and he's about to shoot something. Pretty boring panel. Instead, what you want is his hand in the foreground. as my dog dies in the background. Hand in the foreground. Thank you, darling. Hand in the foreground. And then, Iron Man's face here. Force perspective. And really try and push it. And then, you could really have huge fingers and then like a tiny head and stuff like that. This to me are the how to make comics. Rule of thirds, middle ground, foreground, background, force perspective. And obviously leave space for your speech bubbles so the writers don't get mad. All right. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. And again, if anybody ever wants me to do more draw-overs or portfolios, you can just head to Patreon, patreon.com/Will Robson. And you can sign up there, join the Discord server where I do portfolio reviews, and there's other comic book artists in there that have already broken into the industry, which is fantastic. And yeah, I'm sure they have a lot of insight to say, and then we all sort of review each other's work and stuff like that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. All right.